Hi everyone, this is Aneta, the owner of Cross-Stitch Vienna, which is a Gothic cross-stitch pattern store. This is my third floss tube and I'm tired. This week was very tough for me because I have this persistent tiredness that follows me every day, regardless of how many hours I sleep. And I don't know what the reason is. I'm not sure if it's the weather because it keeps switching from very hot to very cold to very wet. I don't know if it's something else going on. I'm thinking this must be my master's thesis. It's been weighing on my brain, and I said in my previous video that it is in fact going quite well, so I don't know why I'm freaking out. Why is my body so tired? Ugh. In today's video, I'm going to show you my one pathetic whip because I only managed to do one thing this last week. And I'm going to tell you more about how I prepare fabric for cross-stitching, how I am taking care of it after I finished cross-stitching, and also how I'm framing. Because I got a nice question on my last floss tube, and since I have really nothing else to talk about, and you definitely need some content from me, this is what we are going to do. I actually was thinking that I really need to become more prolific with my stitching, because if every week I'm just going to be grasping at straws for content, it might get tough at some point. I really enjoy recording videos, so I should do something with myself. Last week, honestly, Jesus took the wheel and immediately drove the car off the cliff. So my one whip. Oh, by the way, you probably noticed that I have a new friend over here. I bought a microphone. Last week, I didn't notice that there was an issue with the audio because apparently my ears are for decoration only. And it was pointed out to me very gently that there was some sort of a problem. And because I'm committed, I decided that I'm going to purchase a microphone. So I think I might do some gameplays because there's just no way I can scrounge up enough content for next week. Unless you ask me questions, because then I can answer the questions. So feel free, whatever it is, personal, business related, just ask. I'll get to it. So my one whip for this week, it is the chart that I showed you last week already, but I was still working on the TV frame. So this is Horror Junkie, and as you can tell, I am so close to finishing, because what I need to do still is to add dripping. I was going to say water. I need to add dripping to the murder alphabet, and I also need to add a little knife that's going to be adding a little bit of visual balance to the design. But then I am pretty much going to be done with it, and I will immediately iron it and frame it, because I have an idea of how to frame it. I'll show you. I will not show you because all my stuff that I need for framing is on my desk that's covered in props for this video. So, okay, that's content for the next video. So, I also kitted up Fabric Hoarder and also Goblin mode, and I realized that I don't have most of the thread. You know what? Do you know how much thread I have in bobbins and in actual skeins? Let's see. So I have my online inventory. Well, it's Google Sheets based. I have 152 full skeins of DMC thread, and I have 170 bobbins at this stage, and I still didn't have these colors. But I immediately purchased them because I have a DMC seller here in Vienna. That's Reginas Nähzubehör, I think. Yeah, she has an online store. Well, it's a family business, so it's a mom and daughter now running the store. They're in the second district, I believe. Um, and they were so fast. Honestly, I ordered all of these threads and they sent them out, I believe, on the same day. So I'm very pleased. It's not like I was expecting that because I don't have these insane expectations that people used to Amazon have. Like if it's gonna be a couple of days, I mean, that's fine. Plus, I could have gone there and actually bought this stuff. So, you know, I was being really lazy. And what I need to do is I need to log these new threads, otherwise I'm going to forget. And yeah, put them on bobbins most likely, because if I'm stitching with some of them immediately, I'm just going to transfer them to bobbins for easier use. The question that I was asked under the last video was about preparing my fabric for cross-stitching counting. Let me share my wisdom with you. As I mentioned in my first video, I've been properly cross-stitching since 2021, and I have experienced things. Fabric, obviously, it's really important because that's what you stitch on. But no one ever tells you the differences between different fabrics, or that if there even are significant differences. So I have a couple of samples of the stuff I bought in different stores in different countries. I want to start with saying that I very rarely wash my fabric before I start to cross stitch. I only do it under certain very specific circumstances. For example, I have this absolute trash Aida in sheets that was sold through Amazon. So I bought this, I don't know why. I mean, yes, I know why, because I didn't know better. And it is so stiff, you know, like I could give myself a fabric cut on this Aida. And this is 14 count, this is black. And this is polyester. There's absolutely no way that this fabric has seen nor stood next to anything made of cotton. So the first time I stitched on this fabric, it was very difficult to work with, and because it's so stiff, I had to do 3 strands. What I found out is with these very stiff fabrics, well, the fabric is not going to pull together as you are stitching, so all of these evenly spaced holes, they're gonna remain. This is basically plastic canvas, so I had to increase the number of strands that I was stitching with to 3. And because this fabric is so stiff, my thread would break off frequently. It's not. I still have this fabric because it actually turned out to be really good for the keychains because it's so stiff. But other than that, I try not to stitch on it. Well, I avoid it at all costs because it's just so unpleasant to work with. But I'm not going to chuck it out because I'm from Poland. Therefore, if I don't use it up, this is going to be in my coffin. You're going to bury me with it. It's absolutely necessary if you ever come across this type of fabric, which feels very plasticky, and not because of starch. It's because it's polyester or a high percentage of polyester mixed with cotton, is that you should definitely pre-wash it. I had the very tragic experience of finishing cross-stitching on this fabric. That was a couple of years ago. And soaking it in a bath afterwards. The water wasn't even hot, I think. From the very beginning, I never soaked my fabric with finished stitch on it in like 60 degrees, because that's going to really make a difference. I'm going to tell you why in a bit. But because I left the fabric to soak, the black dye bled from the Aida fabric and dyed my light threads darker shade. Unfortunately, the design had a lot of white in it, so it came out light gray, which completely messed up how it was supposed to look like. I was absolutely fuming when that happened. Of course, you don't want that to happen. So if I ever will stitch again on this fabric. First of all, I will pre-wash it, and then I will iron it so it recovers some of this stiffness to work with it. And I will make sure that I wash it very gently afterwards, because it will bleed color. So that's one. If I have a regular white linen or Aida or even weave, I will not wash it because I am lazy. I have some printed fabrics. This one, for example, this is from Easy Stitch for Fun on Etsy. Even though if it's printed, you should still be very careful. It does actually say on the product page that it's not recommended to wash it. I would still maybe give it a rinse just to soften it up a little bit, because it's also a little bit stiff. And then iron it gently through cloth, so not directly, to prepare it for stitching. If I have a different darker color fabric, for example, here I have Zweigat. So this one I bought in Tokyo, and this is, if I remember correctly, this was cotton 40%, but it was 60% rayon. So rayon is like a synthetic silk alternative, I think. Yes, this is not 100% cotton. I would also wash this fabric, even though it's much softer. This is 14. No, this is 19 count. So I would still wash it before using it, because I will be worried about red dye bleeding and messing up my stitch. Plus, it's much softer because it has cotton and rayon, so it's much easier to work with versus, for example, this printed fabric. So I would want to wash it and iron it, and as you stitch, you will be pulling on the fabric. If you cannot maintain tension on the embroidery hoop or Q-snap or whatever else you're using, your stitches will not come out evenly. And I can tell already looking at it that it kind of looks, you probably cannot see it, but, or maybe. So it's not like even, can you focus? There's a repeated thread that runs through the fabric that's slightly thicker, so that would make the final product, your final cross stitch, a little bit uneven. So I mean, like, I don't mind that look. It's a specific look, so if you would like that, then yeah, why not? This 14 count that I also bought this in Tokyo, and this is 100% cotton. I haven't actually opened this yet, but I would also pre-wash it, even though I can tell that it's stiffer. I think it must have been starched and ironed pretty vigorously to maintain this shape. But I would definitely pre-soak it and make sure that it's safe to stitch on. So any darker color, I'll wash it before I start stitching. I'm just too freaked out to allow such a small, I mean, it's not a small detail, but if you're putting in so much work into your cross stitch, you might as well just wash it, wait overnight for it to dry, iron it, and then be happy, especially if it's a large cross stitch. I imagine that you don't want to end up disappointed when your fabric bleeds. So I also dyed my own fabric. This is linen, I believe. So the colors are a little bit wonky because I have this very harsh blue light, but this is emerald. Like, it looks like turquoise more on camera, but this is emerald fabric that I dyed last year, and it's sun dried, so it did lighten up a little bit in the sun. So if you're drying your dyed fabric in harsh sun, then it will bleach it slightly. I dyed it with fabric dyes that I got in Poland, and according to the instructions, you're supposed to add some vinegar to one of the either one of the rinses after you dyed your fabric, or in the last 30 minutes of dyeing it. I need to look at the instructions again. After you finish dyeing your fabric, you're supposed to seal it with heat. So you iron your fabric, which I did. That's why I'm confident that this would not run. I also, when I was rinsing the fabric, I did it several times until the water ran clear and I iron it. So if you're dyeing your own fabric, of course you can do whatever you want, but I feel like you have more confidence in the color not bleeding and messing up your stitch. Yeah, so this emerald green linen has been in my drawer since last year. I have no idea what to stitch on it. I don't know. How do I cut my fabric? So when I cross stitch, I usually pick a frame for the cross stitch before I start stitching, so I know how much space I should leave around the finished cross stitch. In the beginning, when I started cross stitching, I was really playing it dangerous and I was not leaving around enough space to frame the cross stitch in a nice way. Like, it was always not enough. So a lot of my cross stitches from my early days, they're just in my folder, dying a slow death of being forgotten in terms of what I use for cutting the fabric. So I have regular scissors. They're not even fabric scissors. They're just a pair of large scissors I got from Libro, which I mean, I don't really know what to say to it. It's a pair of scissors that I use. In terms of the edges, so like this fabric, for example, the linen that I dyed, so like it's fraying already. You can tell, like this fabric from Amazon, like the edges are so stiff, so the threads will start coming off slowly as I start working with it, because they will upon friction. But I don't normally seal the edges. I used to be annoyed about the edges, especially like if I don't have enough fabric left around the final design. Yes, of course, every strand matters, but now it doesn't bother me as much. I used this liquid fray check. I think Prim produces that, and it smelled so bad. I really didn't like it. I decided in the end that it's not worth the hassle. So I don't secure my edges. I just make sure that I leave enough space, so if there is some sort of fraying going on, that it doesn't really impact the final design. This is maybe not the most economic way of doing it, but I just prefer it this way. And I also don't grit my my fabric because I'm lazy. I sometimes miscount, but I'm pretty good now with making sure that everything is nice and even. During stitching, and I've said in my first video, I will always wash my hands. I will make sure that I have clean hands. I don't eat when I cross stitch. Take a break. You don't have to stitch and eat. There is time. Make sure that your hands are always clean, so that makes the post cross stitch care much easier if you know that you did not slobber all over your finish. When I finish my cross stitch, I will wash it. I always wash my cross stitches, regardless if they're going to be kept in a folder or if I'm already hanging them. What I do normally is pour water temperature 40 degrees Celsius in a bowl and add some liquid soap. Make sure there is enough foam, and then gently rub that foam onto the cross stitch. So obviously, like, I will wet it a little bit, and then I will rub this foam onto the cross stitch, and then rinse it. I very rarely soak my cross stitches, unless it's on white either, which I'm comfortable knowing that there will be not bleed.
from the fabric or the thread, but most of the time I don't do that because I think it's dangerous in case there was something wrong with the thread that I'm using, because I'm not always using DMC. I also use hand dyed threads or threads from different brands, so I wouldn't want them to surprise me with dyeing my Aida or my or the other threads different colors. So I will rinse the fabric after I am happy with cleaning it with the foam from the liquid soap. I'll rinse it in clear water, and then I will hang it to dry. So I have this, I think it's a sock hanger that I got from IKEA. And yeah, I try to stretch the fabric as I hang it, so I don't bunch it up. I don't fold it when I hang it. I make sure that it hangs evenly and it's stretched out already, because that makes a lot of difference when you're ironing it. I mean, like, it makes your ironing much easier. I also sometimes, if the fabric is delicate, so like if you're stitching on linen, I'll put something, a bit of material, a bit of fabric between the clips and the cross stitch fabric, because if they leave some imprints, they will be annoying to get out while ironing. So I leave the cross stitch to dry overnight, and then I iron it. And at some point, I got myself a cross stitch only little iron. So this baby, this is from Prim. It's just it's a tiny iron. I mean, that's all there is to it. When I'm washing and ironing my cross stitches, I try to have several cross stitches and not just one, because that's so annoying. It's a lot of work in my mind. So I try to bulk wash, bulk iron, bulk frame as much as I can. This iron you can get in Vienna. I know a store that sells it. I looked at it earlier. Sewing Center Egelwolf. Yeah, so I know that they store a lot of Prim products, and you can definitely get this one there, because I got it, this small iron I bought there when I was visiting at some point. So I'll iron my piece. I will get ready to frame it. As I said, I already prepare a frame that I want the stitch to be in, when already consider it when I'm cutting the fabric. And I used to just, there was really no science to it. I will use a thicker carton, and I will secure the cross stitch fabric with some thread at the back so it doesn't move, and then I will move it to the frame. But what I've started doing recently, because I've been enjoying the look of it, so when I was in this sewing center, Egelhof, what I noted that they had this like thicker, I think this is like quilted inlay fabric. So this is like this is foam, and what I've been doing, I've been using it in between the cross stitch and carton to give the cross stitches like a little bit of like there's a little bit of a raise, so they are not just lying flat on the carton. There's a little bit, this foam is pushing the cross stitch up a little bit, so I think it looks more interesting. And you can be very creative with it. For example, this is another cross stitch that I did, and I put I made it like an info board, so to speak. So this foam is used underneath, in between the fabric, the finished cross stitch, and the board that is also wrapped in felt, just to protect the wall that this little cross stitch is hanging on. So that's how I like to frame my cross stitches these days. A sip of coffee. After I finish with my Hoarder Junkie, I plan to stitch the mossy grave design, specifically the spring and summer version. And in addition to that, I also have a small gift to those participating in the World Cross Stitch Day Creepy Edition. So the World Cross Stitch Day organizers release a keepsake every year. You can go to their website and you can, I believe you can get the keepsake for free from the website, and you can stitch it as a souvenir. So that I think it's a very nice idea. So I'm preparing something like that for those that are participating in the Creepy Edition. So what I suggest is that you become part of the event on Facebook, because I will include more information about it there. Don't forget that the World Cross Stitch Day sale is happening on Cross Stitch Vienna, so throughout the entire July you can get 30% off. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video on my YouTube channel. Bye!